No.
Howdy, Paul. I find him in the same classification with the other Luciferian characters or the crucified saviors. So same story, different country.
All right, very good. Thanks for the call. Appreciate your input, Matthew. Let's go to Paul in Canada. Paul, you're on with Michael and Freeman. Go ahead.
Hello, gentlemen. Hello, Michael.
Hello.
Hi, Michael. Hello, Mr. Freeman. Very interesting. Michael, second time around, one quick question for both of you. First off, Michael, Sue Ann Arrigo, I believe you had on maybe less than 2 weeks ago. Do you remember her?
Yes.
Do you? She was like fantastic as well, just as today's guest. So if you can mention a word about it, not today, but some other day.
Paul, I'm communicating with her right now for a repeat performance in the not too distant future. Go ahead.
That would be great, and post something on your web as well. Mr. Freeman, you've mentioned the next date for the next 9/11 catastrophe.
Yes.
You've mentioned 10/12.
10/13.
10/13. So that would be the 13th of October.
Yes.
Would you elaborate a little more about this, please, and let us know what you know? Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, go ahead. That's a good question.
Sure.
Elaborate
I
on
was
that a
looking
little
into
bit.
the symbolism, and I predicted the date for 9/11. Well, then it was later that I found the cornerstone connection of 9/11. So I started looking for other significant cornerstones, and I came to the White House, and the White House's cornerstone was laid on 10/13. And, of course, I made the connection between Chris Carter giving us the whole truth about 9/11 in the Lone Gunman episode and his production company being 10/13. And 10/13 is the date that the Pope and the King came together and burnt the Templars at the stake. That's the infamous Friday the 13th. And so that is the date on the cornerstone of the White House. And so if they follow the same pattern, perhaps they will blow up the White House on 10/13.
And, of course, George Bush and Dick Cheney will conveniently not be there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, and that would literally cancel the elections, and all these executive orders and signings that have been put into place for continuity of government would all fall into play. It's all been set up ahead of time. And they'll declare martial law, and it's game over, and George Bush will have his wish. You know, it'd be a lot easier if he were a dictator, as long as, if this was a dictatorship, as long as he's the dictator, and he will be a dictator, and nobody will be able to get him out of office.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a scary world, scary thought.
If you do his bloodline, you'll find that he's actually the grandson of Aleister Crowley. I have that all outlined on my website. We don't have time to cover that, but I had
that's where I ran across that information. You know, I've gone down the rabbit hole on you to a small degree. Of course, this was a while back. You know, it was probably 10 months ago. But at any rate, yeah, I remember going through. You have a kind of a descendant line, if you will, about
1605 on up. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. At any rate, I'll tell you what, we're going to take the final break here in just a little bit, and when we get back, I'd like for you to, if you would, give some closing thoughts to the audience, Freeman, and also, there's no question in my mind that I've got to have you back with your permission. I cordially invite you for a repeat performance sometime within the next month or so.
You got it.
Okay. Tell you what, folks. We're going to take the final break here. We'll be back in 3. Michael Herzog, The American Awakening, along with Freeman and the Freeman Perspective, and we'll get some closing thoughts from Freeman when we get back. Stick with us. All right, folks, we're back with the final segment of The American Awakening with my special guest, Freeman and the Freeman Perspective. In closing this out, Freeman, what thoughts would you like to convey to the audience?
Well, my life has been miraculous, and I noticed that you might have George Green on.
He's coming on next week. As a matter of fact, he'll be on next...
Alien.
What's that?
He's certain I'm from Pleiades. I went to his meeting, and that's how I ended up on TV.
Is that right?
Yeah. And that's another long story. Maybe we can save for the next one.
I was going to say, I definitely I'm going to call you off the air. I want to reschedule for you for another time because obviously there's a lot more we can get into. But yes, I did have a pleasant conversation with George Green off the air. He is coming on next Tuesday. Right now, he's down in Ecuador, searching out other places to run, I believe, to get out of this country. But at any rate, yes, anybody that doesn't know who George Green is, just go into Google and click, Google his name, George Green. This is another absolutely amazing man, of which, Freeman, I'm sure you'll attest.
Yes, it's a very interesting story for sure, and you're going to learn about anti-gravity and everything else. Yeah, and that takes us back to, but we won't go there. My message is that the world is more than what it appears to be. There is a miraculous involvement going on. There is a higher power. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing. I was never raised with any of these things, but yet my life is miraculous to show me that this is the truth. And that as patriots start to come into these understandings, they recognize that what they thought was real isn't. And even as we try to stand for the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and all of these things, we of course come back to the Freemasons that crafted them. So then that all comes into question once again. And we go through what are stages of grief. It's like finding out that you're dying, and thank God Alex was there to walk us through these different stages of anger and denial and sadness until we are now to the point where we're accepting all of this, and that's where we're at today, and we're starting to come to the new realizations of where we're at. And we are now at the nexus point of a fantastic new realm where we can possibly live forever and travel the galaxy. And this is not out of our realm. This is right here for us, but we need to change our thought patterns and reorient why we exist. Right now, capitalism is just eating away at the planet. It doesn't work. Everybody can't produce something, and obviously we're all poor here in America, or at least a good portion of us.
Well, I'll tell you what. We've got a late caller that called in. I'm going to give him about a minute, Freeman. So let's go to Free Ben in Texas. You got 1 minute, Free Ben. Go ahead.
I've been listening to the show off and on sporadically, and I'm really like what I'm hearing.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to commend both of y'all on that.
Thank you.
I'll give more time to the next caller. I just wanted to put that out there.
We're about out of time. There is no more callers, but I want to appreciate you calling in and giving your kudos to us, Ben. I know you had called in earlier, and I wasn't taking calls at the time, so I apologize for that. Are you a first-time caller, Ben?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Ben. Okay. At any rate, there's a book I read years ago called Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting by a woman by the name of Lynn Grabhorn, where she's talking about vibrations. And we all vibrate on a certain wavelength, and the higher vibrations are, lighter. They're love, joy, that sort of thing. And the lower vibrations are despair, hate, jealousy, and so forth. And it seems like these powers that be, they realize that. And so they try to continue, they try to keep society living on a lower vibrational level so they cannot expand their consciousness. Would you agree with that, Freeman?
That is exactly it. And all you need to do is step out of the box and go live. Just try it. You'll see. It's a frightening thing for people to step into void, but there is a net there waiting for you.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, listen, with that, I want to thank you so much for sharing time with us today, Freeman, and I will definitely have you up again. Okay?
Great, Michael. It was great.
All right, thanks. Have a good day, buddy. All right. The Freeman perspective, folks. Amazing. And in my archives, it's going to say, you want to blow your mind? Listen to this show. Anyway, end of another day. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, same station, with no less than Dar Jamal, folks. We're going to hear about Iraq from a real perspective. Stay tuned for the National Intel Report with John Stadtmiller. I'm sure you'll have a good show, and I'll be listening. So I will see you tomorrow. Have a good day, and bye for now.
Men are